Hello, this is Brianna Clearwater with the Chapter 9 video called Undercover for Students Transfer Credits. Okay. Her methods might not be ethically or morally correct, but in the seeking of the truth, it could be right as well. In the case where to state methods and sources, it might not be the greatest ethical idea. Finding out a lot more students had plenty, if not more, problems transferring credits into the institute of their choice. And they were very confused and annoyed. When you work so hard to get those courses and pass them, it's frustrating to find out when you change your major path, those credits don't follow you along. When finding out it's up to an institution's discretion, students will begin to question why. So now the undercover student starts researching Google sources. Courses in different colleges could be nearly identical, have different titles, and one could be taken and one could not. And those students have to wait to find out until they're enrolled in the institution. After the undercover student realized she should go undercover was identifying the possibility that getting no answers. She was identifying herself as a reporter, as a journalist, and she was getting no answers, giving that title when she asked for the course equivalency table, which is the table that identifies which courses you've taken and which ones will flow along with you in the institution, which ones they'll accept, and so on and so forth. And she was told that there wasn't one after giving reporter as her status to the secretary in the office. At this point, she was ready to acknowledge the deception of identifying and accepting any and all consequences for placing herself under a disguise. And I'm sure after hearing some journalists who did the same thing in reporting became honored for breaking important news, she knew she was doing this and being successful at it. She could help multitudes of students, potentially some alumni that feel the same way about it, and she could correct the ongoing institution's problems with this policy. And then after a phone call in disguise, she built a lead off that conversation with the same secretary that told her there was no table. But this time she got a different result as disguising herself. She was successful as many people agreed with the way that she went about it. And some were thinking she did not need to disguise herself, and some thought it was okay that she did that. The school promoted a seamless transfer process, so you wouldn't need, it wouldn't be so difficult. And the course equivalency table was now posted up on their website, so everybody could see it, and it was much better from that point on, and that's what the local newspaper published, not just her journalism class. So she got pretty big after that. Everyone won, and some were likely at fault for the situation, but in the end, a new policy was created and students had way more accessibility to the table to ensure their classes would get accepted. The hypothetical that I chose to make was, so you go to sell a car online. Usually you have the people that will be immediately, they want the car. They want it in cash, and that's that. But someone asks about the vehicle, a normal person, and they don't give you any identification, and several different names come up during the process in the transaction, and it becomes suspicious to you because, everybody just gives their name, and that's fine. So there's a phone number given. They call the phone number. There's a totally different person. But the person who's selling the car that calls is in disguise from the get-go so that they don't have to feel, weird about it. They want to just figure out if it's a scammer or not. And in the end, they do, because the conversation is with a totally different person. There's several names coming up. It just all seems really suspicious, and that's when you should just jump right out. But using the disguise method helped this seller to identify that wasn't the right person for them. So they block the user. That way, every other online seller that sees that post of the person who said, hey, I blocked and reported this person, don't use this guy anymore, or whoever it is. If you see this name or this name or this name, don't deal with it because it's a scam. So there are millions of them out there, and going in disguise sometimes is good and sometimes isn't the best route to take, but in the end, both teams win. So that is the Chapter 9 video for Comm Law and Ethics by Brianna Clearwater.